For nearly 12,000 years, the Galactic Concord believed that no civilization would ever stand alone. Empires rose and fell, borders shifted, old enemies became trusted allies. Through every crisis, one rule remained unchanged. Whenever a distress signal echoed across the stars, someone always answered. That belief died with the arrival of the Vorak Dominion. No one knew where they came from. They sent no diplomats, offered no demands, and signed no treaties. Their fleets appeared without warning, overwhelming every defense with ruthless precision. Entire star systems vanished in weeks, leaving behind only drifting debris and silent worlds. The Arkan Republic fell in 17 days. The Silent Collective lasted 23. The mighty Dravos Empire, whose navy had protected the galaxy for centuries, survived less than a month. Each defeat strengthened the Vorak. They salvaged wrecked warships, captured factories, and turned conquered planets into enormous shipyards. With every victory, their numbers grew larger, while the Galactic Concord grew.
Across Illyria, emergency sirens echoed through the cities. Families hurried into shelters, while engineers worked without rest, repairing damaged cruisers for one final mission. Pilots climbed into fighters they knew they would never land again. No one spoke of victory. They fought only to buy time for civilians. Far beyond the planet, long-range sensors suddenly detected movement. Communications Officer Kalen frowned as numbers flooded his screen. Commander. Laron turned. Report. The enemy fleet has entered the system. How many ships? Kalen hesitated. The computers can't calculate. The holographic display zoomed outward again and again. Black dots covered.
Unknown civilization. This is the United Earth Federation Expeditionary Fleet. Every officer looked at one another in confusion. Earth? No records contained that name. The voice continued. We intercepted your distress beacon. Hold your position. Humanity is on its way. Commander Lauren closed his eyes. Whoever these humans were, they had no idea what they were flying into.
Commander Lauren stared at the communications console, unsure whether the mysterious transmission had been real or simply the result of exhausted minds clinging to impossible hope. No civilization called Earth existed in the Galactic Concord's archives. Thousands of species had been documented over the last 12,000 years, yet not a single record mentioned humans. Before anyone could question the message further, the tactical officer suddenly shouted, "Commander, massive gravitational distortions detected beyond the outer system." Every screen in the command center shifted to the same sensor feed. Space itself began to ripple like the surface of a disturbed lake. Brilliant blue cracks spread across the darkness, growing wider with every passing second. They were not explosions or natural phenomena. They looked as though reality itself was being carefully pulled apart.
The Vorak fleet reacted immediately. Their advance slowed for the first time since entering the Illyria system. Across millions of kilometers of empty space, thousands of enormous gateways opened simultaneously. One by one, gigantic warships emerged from the glowing rifts. They were unlike anything the Concord had ever built. Their hulls were dark gray, heavily armored, and carried enormous rail cannons, missile batteries, and defensive turrets that covered every surface. These ships looked less like elegant spacecraft and more like moving fortresses designed to survive impossible battles. The tactical computer struggled to identify them before finally displaying a new designation across every screen: United Earth Federation Navy. The sensors continued counting. 100 ships became 500. 500 became 2,000. The number kept rising until the computer finally displayed 18,462 human warships detected. A stunned silence filled the command center.
The Galactic Concord had begun the war with fewer than 5,000 military vessels. Humanity had arrived with nearly 4 times that number, and every ship appeared fully operational. A new voice echoed across every communication channel. Calm, confident, and completely fearless. This is Admiral Elena Ward of the United Earth Federation. All surviving Concord forces are instructed to fall back behind our defensive line immediately. We will assume responsibility for this battlefield. Commander Lauren quickly opened a secure channel. Admiral, you don't understand. The Vorak fleet has destroyed every civilization that stood against them. They outnumber you by millions. There was a brief pause before Admiral Ward answered. Commander, we've studied your distress signal. We've seen what your people sacrifice to protect civilians. Humanity does not abandon those who stand alone. Hold your position. Reinforcements have arrived. Without another word, the entire human fleet accelerated toward the enemy. Instead of scattering into defensive formations like every known navy, the Earth fleet advanced together in one perfectly coordinated wall of steel. Thousands of engines burned bright blue, lighting the darkness like a second sunrise. The Vorak responded instantly. Countless crimson energy beams crossed the void, striking the leading human ships with overwhelming force. Commander Lauren expected explosions, burning wreckage, and desperate retreat. Instead, golden shields surrounded every human vessel, absorbing the enemy barrage without slowing their advance. Not a single ship broke formation.
Aboard the flagship UES Resolute, Admiral Elena Ward watched the battle unfold with remarkable calm. Enemy weapons analyzed, her tactical officer reported. Shield efficiency remains above 98%. Ward nodded once. Very well. Begin Phase 1. Across the entire human fleet, thousands of armored launch bays opened simultaneously. Millions of guided missiles roared into space, filling the darkness with brilliant white trails. Artificial intelligence guided every missile independently, weaving through enemy fire with impossible precision. Seconds later, the first explosions erupted across the Vorak front line. Enemy destroyers disappeared one after another, followed by cruisers, carriers, and command ships. Entire attack formations vanished beneath expanding clouds of fire. For the first time since the war had begun, the Vorak advance stopped completely. Across the Concord fleet, shocked officers watched the impossible unfold. Humanity had entered a battle everyone believed was already lost, and within minutes, the invincible enemy had been forced onto the defensive. But deep within the massive Vorak command ship, Supreme Overlord Zarkov simply watched in silence before issuing one cold command that would change the course of the war forever. The command echoed through the Vorak fleet, and within seconds, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Deep inside the enemy formation, 12 colossal shapes slowly emerged from the darkness. At first, the Concord officers thought they were moons drifting through space. Then, the sensor readings updated, and a wave of fear swept across every bridge. These were the Leviathans, living warships bred for destruction. Each one measured nearly 100 kilometers in length, its body protected by layers of organic armor stronger than any metal known to the galaxy. Massive crimson eyes glowed across their armored heads, while thousands of razor-sharp spines covered their backs. Every movement sent gravitational ripples through the surrounding space, and their thunderous roars echoed across open communication channels, freezing even veteran soldiers with fear. Commander Laurent felt his heart sink. Years earlier, a single Leviathan had destroyed an entire Concord battle group in less than 10 minutes. 12 of them together represented more firepower than every surviving fleet in the galaxy combined. General Saris stared silently at the tactical display before whispering, "No one has..." Aboard the UES Resolute, Admiral Elena Ward remained completely calm. "Target confirmation?" she asked. "Confirmed," replied the tactical officer. "Operation Hammerfall is ready." Ward gave a single nod. "Execute." Instantly, the human fleet split into 12 perfectly coordinated strike groups. Instead of retreating, every formation accelerated directly toward one Leviathan. Commander Lauren couldn't understand what he was seeing. "They're charging them?" he asked in disbelief. Captain Hayes smiled quietly. "No, Commander. They're hunting." As the first Leviathan prepared to fire, hundreds of small Ares-class interceptors launched from nearby human carriers. They raced toward the giant creature at incredible speed, weaving effortlessly through incoming enemy fire. To the Concord observers, it looked like a suicide mission. The interceptors flew directly into the growing energy sphere inside the monster's mouth. At the last possible moment, each interceptor activated powerful electromagnetic disruptors. The unstable energy instantly collapsed inward. For a brief second, the Leviathan froze. Then an enormous explosion tore through its body from the inside. A blinding flash illuminated the battlefield as pieces of organic armor the size of mountains drifted into space. One Leviathan had been destroyed.
The remaining 11 creatures let out deafening roars that echoed across every frequency. For the first time, they sounded furious instead of unstoppable. The second Leviathan lunged toward a human carrier, hoping to crush it beneath its massive jaws. The carrier held its position, while 4 nearby destroyers moved into formation beneath the creature's head. Their heavy rail cannons fired simultaneously, launching tungsten projectiles at incredible speed. 3 rounds missed their targets, but the 4th slammed directly into the joint connecting the Leviathan's lower jaw. The impact shattered the massive bone structure. Before the wounded creature could recover, thousands of nuclear missiles poured into the exposed wound. Seconds later, another explosion ripped through the battlefield, and the second Leviathan collapsed into drifting wreckage. Cheers erupted across every surviving Concord ship. For months, they had watched the Vorak destroy everything in their path. Now, they were witnessing monsters that had once seemed immortal, falling one after another. Hope, something many soldiers had forgotten, began to return.
Inside the Vorak flagship, Supreme Overlord Zarkov watched the battle unfold with growing disbelief. Every prediction made by his military advisors had failed. Humanity wasn't stronger because of superior weapons alone. They fought differently. They protected one another without hesitation, adapted faster than expected, and refused to surrender even when victory seemed impossible. For the first time in centuries, the Vorak Dominion had encountered an enemy they could neither intimidate nor overwhelm. As the battle finally began to turn in humanity's favor, Admiral Ward stepped onto the observation deck of the Resolute, silently watching burning wreckage drift through space. Her executive officer approached with a hopeful smile. "Admiral," he said, "it looks like we've won." Ward kept her eyes fixed on the stars before slowly shaking her head. "No," she replied quietly. "We've only defeated their advance force." She activated a classified intelligence file, revealing long-range sensor data gathered by human exploration probes far beyond the edge of known space. The room fell silent as billions of enemy contacts appeared across the holographic display, forming an armada so vast it resembled an entire galaxy in motion. Ward took a slow breath before speaking the words that changed everything. The Vorak didn't send their main fleet. They sent a scouting fleet.